What do y'all want to do? How do you want to run it?
We're gonna leave it up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interviewing
Whichever way
you.
this goes.
Yeah.
I'm interviewing you.
Yeah. I mean, some people say Jesus take the wheel. I'm saying Mark take the wheel. This is
Mark, take the wheel.
yeah.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the 50th edition of the Pirate Living Podcast. Hi, my name's Mark England, and I am your host. And I am interviewing Kristin Davis and Caron Adderley today because they've done the hard part. They started. They did the first 50. This is the 50th show that they've done. And Adam and I, my business partner, I'm one of the co-founders of Enlifted, and Adam we were looking at our numbers since we incorporated, and he said he quoted a guy, I forget the guy's name, doesn't matter. He said the first million is impossible, the 10 million is unlikely, and 100 million is inevitable. So what does that mean? It means the first 50 podcasts, those first 100 podcasts, you get those under your belt and you've learned a lot. You got momentum. You got people that are listening to you. You got your chemistry. You got matching tracksuits. I mean, ladies, gentlemen, I'm here first and foremost to congratulate y'all. Great job. Whose idea was it? Let's start there, because I'm going to grill y'all. Can't point at me.
The right way.
I don't think it was. No.
That was
Was it?
yeah.
It was meant to be Caron.
It was yeah. In our setup, she was pointing at me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because likely one of you two thought of it and then I instigated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who came to who first and said, let's do a podcast?
Yeah, I came to Kristin. I had wanted to do a podcast for a while, and I wanted to do it with a partner. I wanted someone to share this with. And for those of that listened to the episode with Anat Perry, we talk a lot about Kristin's journey through training camp for the soul and finding her voice. And I mean, I've been the quiet one for most of my life as well. The shy one, the one that doesn't talk, the introvert. And I wanted a platform to share my voice, to get it out there in a way that, just to share my voice, to get my voice out there. And, I met Kristin through Enlifted. And so, we became Zoom friends. Because, separated by borders and restrictions and rules. And, we would just have Zoom chats. And I'm like, this should be the podcast, you and me. We have a chemistry and a connection that I really appreciated, meeting a like-minded individual such as Kristin. And I'm like, we should just do this podcast together and talk to other people. And that's really how it started. And I'm so glad she said yes. I'm very grateful she said yes.
You were the quiet one, really?
Very much.
I would have figured with that level of cool ass hairstyle, you would have been the flashy, brash, potential metal rocker in high school. No, I'm way off.
No, think more like jazz band. And
okay. All right.
Yeah.
What instrument?
The trumpet.
You played the trumpet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not well, but I played it.
I've got a banjo that I've played 5 times. Okay. And Kristin, when she first approached you with this idea, what was your initial response?
Yes.
Is that simple?
Yeah, I said yes.
Okay. Now, were there any of those not so sweet nothing voices in your head trying to talk you out of this at the beginning, or when you first started? Because I got a story I'm going to share about a good friend of mine who could have been the king of online tea sales Chinese oolong tea, and he had a podcast. He did 3. I'll tell you that in a second. Was there any initial friction when you first started?
No, Caron and I we reached out to a few people and asked them what they did. There may have been like a little bit of what are we doing in my head. However, very well trained by somebody on getting those voices dialed way down. And for me in particular, it was, are we having fun? Is this fun? Cool. Let's do this. And so even going back, listening to the episodes, which was a little tricky at first, but it was also enjoying the conversation all over again. So that helped dial down those voices for me. And yeah, for me, the main thing is, are we having fun? And yes, I'm having lots of fun. So that voice hasn't gotten a chance to get loud.
What was tricky? What was a little bit tricky about going back and listening to those original shows?
More listening to myself, and then hearing maybe where I would stutter, or I'd start a sentence and then I'd stop it. And I know within my head it made complete sense where I went, but when I'm listening to myself, I'm like, nobody else knows where I just went in my head to that next point. So hearing what was going on coming out of my mouth versus knowing everything that's going on in my head plus coming out of my mouth. So it's a different world. So realizing I can be more clear in what I say and slow down a little more too.
Watching professionals watch tape of themselves. We graduated our 5th group of level 2 coaches, which is why I literally had my red tracksuit draped over a chair behind me in the dining room. And the part of that certification, and I told them this on the call before I delivered the assignment. I said, some of you all are going to hate this. And for some of y'all, this is going to be as hard, if not harder, than anything you did in level 1. And now I got their attention, right? And I told them, you're going to script your origin story of how you got involved in the language game. Keep it under 10 minutes. You're going to deliver it, videotape yourself, watch the video, make some notes, film it again, and then send it in. And that was, they had 3 weeks to do it. And there are 4 people that have still struggling to turn it in. It's tough watching tape on yourself. And it's also one of the fastest ways to get good at something. And it's also, for some people, it's a very reliable way to buy into it, to quit. My friend, I used to ride bicycles with him. He lived in China. Okay. He got obsessed with Chinese tea, oolong tea. He married a Chinese woman from China that he met over there, who specialized still to this day in international import export. Okay. He moved back to the States and the plan was create a podcast. This was in 2009. Remember podcasting in 2009? What if he had stuck with it? He was going to do a podcast over tea out of his garage on martial arts and other things that he was interested in. And I said, that's a fantastic idea. I'll be your first guest, which that happened. He did 3. And then so he's going to do podcast over tea and then sell his tea at the end. He had 17 drums of tea in his garage. I mean, he went in on the money. He had tons of pots and all the stuff. And he did 3 podcasts and he stopped. You know why? He didn't like the sound of his own voice. I mean, does anyone like the sound of their own voice when they first hear it, or like how they look on video? You got to get over that, folks. You got to get over that. And y'all did. Next question. When did you all, and I'm sure it was fast because you all have been friends for a while before you started the podcast. When did you notice that your rhythm clicked into place, that your style clicked into place? Was it 5 in, 10 in, 15 in?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Chemistry's a real thing. Chemistry's a real thing with professional endeavors. And it's like dancing. You start dancing with someone for the first time, and if you keep doing it, you'll eventually the thing just it really snaps into place, and then you go.
Yeah. And I know we still do it sometimes, even now. Well, like, because we can see each other on Zoom and be like, oh, are you gonna say it? No, wait, okay. So we still have those little like moments of like not sure who's gonna speak. But I think the way we just set it up of like alternating the main point questions from the beginning, and then we're allowed whatever to speak in between those main points and bring up whatever we want in between, to let the conversation flow. I think that was really helpful from the start to know like who's asking the next main question when we're changing the route of the conversation or how we're going with the conversation. I think that put a lot of that took a lot of the guessing out of it, because like once we've exhausted this topic or this question we've asked, then I know it's Kristin's turn next. So I think that was helpful for me anyways.
Super cool. So you all prepare for each call?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That right there, we have a list. I've got a list when I talk about presentation skills, and it's amateurs and professionals. It has nothing to do with getting paid. And the very first thing is amateurs wing it, professionals prepare. What talk to everybody about because guess what, folks? This conversation could inspire you to start a podcast. It's a great way there are things, I'm making assumptions that you all have gotten out of this endeavor on a personal level, doing 50 podcasts, and there's things that have happened on a professional level. Is that accurate? Both and both?
Yep.
Got it. So what is your preparation process look like? Who does what? How do you select guests? What have you learned from the guest selection process? And those are two different questions. We'll go with the preparation first. How do you all prepare?
We have a Google Doc where we have our basic outline of questions that have what we want to hit on in case there's any points where it's like, I don't know what to ask next, because it can be tricky at times where you're pulling information and the questions got us so far and now it's time to move to the next one. So we have our outline of topics to hit on. And then for a while, Caron had a lot going on. So I was preparing with the, what do we call those? The intros. And so when we both have an more open schedule, we'll divide it, who does the intro. And we also, get to have that opportunity too, to step up for the other if there's a lot going on for them at that time, be like, oh, I can take both the intros this week or do this. So we have it set up, the intros already. We learned a lot from Ryan Sprague's intros. So we wanted,
everybody's learned a lot from Ryan Sprague's intros. We just started a podcast, the Get In Lifted podcast, and we've referenced his intros a number of times. He's honest. He's as good as anyone in the game with intros.
Yeah.
He introduces you and you're like, you saw right into me. How did you do that?
And then magic happens from there. Magic happens from there.
Yeah. I think the even if, so say Kristin's writing the intro for someone, I think, take out the think. One of the key things is to do your homework on who you're going to be interviewing. So when people book in with us through Calendly, we have a questionnaire that they fill out. So at least that gives us some basic information on them. And then, hit their Instagram, hit their website, their LinkedIn, whatever it is, and check out their content, check out what they have to say, and what they're offering and what they're doing. And we've had the benefit of knowing most of our clients, not clients,
our guests,
our guests, right? And it might not be, I might not know them, but Kristin's maybe met them in person at like a, Unlifted event or something. So we also divvy it up by like who knows the person better. And that way, we can have a little bit of that personal touch for the intro, because if I don't know the person, that's my intro is going to suck compared to Kristin's, right? So both the intake questionnaire when you're booking, and then just really deep diving into researching who the person is, and maybe listen to see if they've been on Ryan's podcast or someone else's podcast, and actually listen to them in a more long form as well, has been super helpful to get a good understanding of who the person is and what makes them such a pirate. So yeah, preparation.
And you also touched on guest selection. That's most people you can get started with your podcast from drawing from your social circles, or someone once removed out of your social circle. I would imagine that. So when I look at what people are doing, or something that we're doing within Lifted, what sentences, what ideas, what belief systems, opinions, they're all the same thing. They're not facts, by the way, folks. What would get in the way? Okay. What would where are my guests going to come from? Okay. That's a global question that, if asked in a certain way, an emotionalized way, it's more of a statement of, I'm not going to get anybody to come on my show, versus an actual question. Chunk it down. Where are my next three guests? Who? Not even where. Guess what? They're living somewhere. All right. You're going to do it over Zoom. You're not going to go to. Who are my next three guests? Anything you want to speak to that on, as far as guests and things you've learned?
Yeah, I'll share one thing, and then I'll let Kristin talk about what she does in certain groups to get our guests. But part of it is just reaching out, and worst thing that's going to happen is they say no. So later on today we have Dr. Sean Pastuch from Active Life. Great. Right? Great guy. And so I had done a weekend seminar with him. So I sent him a message on Instagram like, hey, not sure if you remember me. I was at this, seminar 4 years ago. I met you for, 8 hours. I would love to have you on our podcast. This is what we talk about. This is our audience. And, he's like, yeah, sure. Reach out to my assistant. Let's get it in the calendar. So as simple as reaching out, where there's other people that we hope to have on. And, the answer was not yet. And we're still working for those people. To
those are the best sales, by the way. Those are the most fun, because guess what? Getting a guest on your show, that is a sale.
Yeah.
That's a sale.
Yeah.
Those are the most fun, and stay at it. Stay after it.
Yeah. And then Kristin has found another way as well.
Yeah. My main way was through Instagram first. So I was reaching out to a lot of the Unlifted coaches. Also, we got Laurel Erica with Word Magic on, and we're going to have her again. We got her on partially through me reaching out to her through Instagram. And then she asked to get on a call with us, and she fell in love with us. So now we'll have her on all the time. But yeah, so there's been most of it's been reaching out through Instagram. Like we've gotten people from that are in the How to Be More Pirate book. We've gotten them through Instagram, through the Be More Pirate group. And yeah, it was starting a conversation with them there and being like, hey, you are pirate, you're in this book. Want to come on our pirate podcast? And some of them were wanting to know what the podcast was about and taking their time. However, coming back to them, there are a few people I've come back to recently. I'm like, we still want you on the podcast. And most of them signed up. So we've got one guy who has one arm, one leg, and sailed around. I don't know if it was around the world, but he did a long sailing adventure, just wrapped that up. We have him booked. And then there's a Facebook group that I joined, which is if you want to be a guest or find guests for your podcast, people will go on and post and say, hey, I'm looking to be on a podcast. These are some things that I could talk about. And I'll look at it and decide, does it sound like you have something to bring that goes along with what we talk about? And then I'll reach out to them and say, hey, you sound like you would fit who we talk with. It'd be great to have a conversation with you. And I think all but one person that I reached out to through that signed up. So yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. Okay, what's fun about it? I agree. You first. What's fun about it?
I enjoy the conversations having with people, and a lot of I would say about 30% of the people we've talked to are like, I don't consider myself pirate. And this is, thank you for inviting me into this very great crew of interview guests. And we're like, are you doing something slightly out of the norm? Are you living your life on your own terms? You're pirate. Welcome.
Have you had fun? So yes, it's fun. Fun is an opinion. Yes, I understand that. It's very fun to go for things, folks. Go after things. It's enlivening. It's adventurous. You know, the word adventure does not only apply to sailing around the world by yourself. You can be quite adventurous asking people to come on your podcast or asking to present at events or creating opportunity for yourself. That could be the title of this podcast: how to create opportunity for yourself with a pod or without, because the principles apply.
Mm-hmm.
The principles apply. The start and keep going. Decide and thug it out. Anything that anyone on this that's listening to this has ever gotten good at, you started, and guess what? You kept going. Mm-hmm. I don't know of anyone that got really good at something that started and quit. I mean, you know, since we're talking rocket science here, what I'm making another assumption. What unexpected opportunities have come out of you all doing this podcast? Unexpected relationships, unexpected opportunities, professional, could be someone you had on and they turned into a great friend and they came to a party and you had fun and now you got a new friend.
One that is currently on hold and we will be revisiting is a collaboration with Alex Barker from Be More Pirate. And we are looking to put together like an online summit with a bunch of pirates, people presenting, telling their stories and teaching, teaching their pirate ways. We've pushed it. We've had to reschedule it twice now, just with life, and keep an eye out because it will be resurfacing.
Maybe by the time this comes out.
Super fun. Okay, so that's in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. General time frame? Got anything on the calendar roughly? Generally,
we moved it twice. So we initially were looking at November, then bumped it to January, and life between, I think around the time we canceled it, or not canceled it, but had to put a pause this last time. COVID was picking up over in the UK, and then the holidays and all of that type of stuff.
So it's a physical summit.
No,
Nope.
however, with everything going on, it had 3 people trying to get 3 people all get schedules together and then discuss what we're going to do is where we have had our hitch for the time.
Mhm.
However, we'll figure it out. It'll happen.
Yeah. And we've, guests have been reached out to, and people have said yes. So it isn't just in the idea stage. It's more of a timing question at this point.
I see that being very, very fun and very well received. Like it's that'll work. That'll go. And you just play the what if game. So most people, what if the bad shit? What if my house burns down? What if I get fired? What if my so and so leaves me? What if my leg falls off? What if the neighbor's dog shits in my yard? It's like, what if this thing goes? What if this is something that runs annually for the next 10 years? What if it turns into another book? What if this turns into another aspect of your business? What if it gets you sponsorship? Like, what if the good shit too?
So somebody's sorry, I interrupted you. I was gonna say somebody's taught me particular so well how to do that I'll get in my head sometimes, like when we did the festival over the summer, like, who do you think you are to be running a festival, to be inviting these people? And then I'll catch myself and be like, Kristin Joy Davis, hi, nice to meet you. That's who I think I am. And then I start laughing at myself.
Yeah, and then you go ahead and do a festival. I was there. It happened. What's the biggest mistake y'all have made?
I don't know if I have question.
Yeah.
I don't see anything we've done as a mistake.
Do over. Anything that you'd go, okay, that was
No.
What's your biggest win? The thing you're most proud of?
Getting to 50.
Yeah.
And the 50 different connections that we've made with really cool humans. Like that in itself, even if no one listened to our podcast, like we just had 50 really cool conversations with really cool people, learned a lot and had fun.
I'm assuming y'all are gonna continue.
Oh yeah. We have one booked right after this.
So you got at least 51 in the can.
Yeah.
What's in store for the next 50? What do you all see? What do you all want? What do you all desire? What do you all hope for? Choose your words. When y'all look into your the magic ball for the rest of the year? And when did you all start? How long did it take you to get to 50?
Well, we started with your interview. What was that? The end of April? So yeah, end of April till now. How many months is that? 8? 8.
So you averaged about 7 a month?
Likely. Yeah, we were doing we had a couple weeks where there were 3 interviews in a day. We were doing 2 a day, which led to being able to have plenty of space for when there were cancellations or life, like we needed to have time off. Yeah. About two a week for a while.
What's in store for the next 50? What do y'all see? What do y'all see for the podcast and then the peripheral effects of it?
Caron, do you have any
idea? Well, for the podcast, I mean, more rad humans and continuing to reach outside of the Enlifted group. I mean, and making sure we cover the Enlifted community but expanding that so that we can hear some other voices, hear other stories, and get more people listening and engaged. That's what I see for the podcast as we continue to like expand our people group that we're talking to. And Kristin and I had done previously a group coaching, vocabulary group coaching, and I'd love for us to do more of that, because it was successful. We had a great group, and doing more coaching coming out of the podcast as we expand our listeners outside of the Unlifted group.
Are you all pitching your services, your coaching services afterwards, after the podcast?
That is a great idea. We haven't started that yet.
Yeah, I'd recommend that. I'd recommend that because your first 50, it's what's going to happen with your first 50. You're definitely going to find your rhythm. You're going to find your groove. You're going to find your interview styles, your timing, and you're also establishing yourself as someone who's put in the reps, and that is something that guests of a more of higher notoriety, so to speak, or outside of the community will look at, and it'll make it easier for them to say yes to it, and it will also expand your reach. It'll expand your listenership, your viewership, whatever the downloads, whatever the proper vernacular is, and then it's a great place to. We're talking. Dennis Marola is doing this now on the Building Men podcast, and he's been very consistent, and he's got a good following, and he's started pitching his services at the end, and you all could very do that too, if you want more clients. What problems, what are the top problems that modern day pirates, people that want to be more pirate, people that want to be more adventurous and just take on more of a pirate, what problems would you help them with? A lot of it's confidence. I already know the answer to my question. A lot of it's confidence. Y'all know exactly. Y'all go level 3 certified coaches on top of the other stuff y'all know how to do. And so, folks, if y'all are listening to this, I hope y'all understand that these ladies are very confident, very competent, very skilled, and damn good coaches. So if you got a problem, if you're stuck somewhere, if you're struggling with something, if you need some help and support, reach out to one of them. Reach at either one of them. They will help you. What we'll use our own medicine. I almost said dream guests. What are your goal guests? Because the difference between a dream and a goal is, dreams in your head, a goal's written down. Who are your goal guests?
Number one, Bronnie Ware. She wrote the 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Interesting.
So I would say she of our list of like the dream people. I would say
it's your hit list.
Yeah, she is an actual like. We want to have her come on. We've talked about her book how many times? So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna
contact. Do you have email? Do you have you contacted her?
Caron has.
Okay. she's one of our not yets. And the response was really about how many listeners do you have, how many downloads, all of that. And we will soon be hitting the marks where she will come to us and want to do our podcast.
Why do you want to have her on?
For me personally, that book was very impactful and so enlifted and very pirate the way she's lived her life, and the lessons that she has to share and the eloquent way that she shares that. And it's not just her personal lessons. She's literally sharing the voice of like hundreds of people that were dying that she's worked with. So it's like, to me, she's my, we're going to call her a medium term goal. I don't think that's, she's not a long-term goal. She's a medium term, like, let's get her on the podcast and then we can go even bigger.
When did y'all contact her?
In the fall.
Okay. What kind of numbers did she say that she needed or y'all needed to hit before she would come on?
Basically more than our 30 consistent listeners that we have. Yeah.
Okay. I'll reach out to her. Do you have her contact information?
Yeah, I can get that for you.
Okay. Email that to me and I'll send her an email.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Happy.
And for anyone that hasn't read the book and hasn't heard us talking about it 500 times on this podcast, go check out the top 5 regrets of the dying.
Okay. Who else is on the hit list?
Trying to remember. Like, I feel like there are some actual serious ones. We have the list. We had put Greta Thunberg because she's a climate pirate.
Okay.
I don't think I was serious with Elon Musk. However, he was mentioned as a pirate and how to be more pirate, so I put him on the list.
You know, y'all do 300-400 podcasts and the whole thing just goes like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at our list now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I put Matthew McConaughey. We want him. I'm laughing.
You all ask Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. Mike Schwartz also said is suggesting we get Taylor Swift. He said she's pirate. So
okay.
I put away my list.
Yeah, what do we got? We got Brene Brown.
Okay.
Byron Katie.
Of course.
What else do we have? One that is a very short-term goal, because he needs to get his ass on this podcast, is Sam Conniff.
Keep after that guy.
Yeah, how that hasn't happened yet, I'm not quite sure.
Go back and tell him again.
Yeah.
Send me his email too. I'll email him.
Okay.
I'll email those 2 people. See what happens. It's a numbers game. It's a rep game. You know,
Absolutely.
Somebody just keeps asking nicely. It's like a lot of times people that are busy, half the reason they might be saying no is because they just got other stuff going on and yeah, you just listen. There's everybody. There's something. Flattery is a real thing. You know, give somebody some compliments, some sincere compliments, and then do it again 3 months later. And keep doing it. You know, at the very least, you're building the identity of someone that is relentless. You show me somebody who's relentless and not afraid of no's. You reach out to 10 people, you get 2. That's 2 guests. Where if you did none, you got none. Maybe you get 4. You know, it's a numbers game. And yeah, it's cool to be like that. We really do. We create our own opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, we have some other people that we want to speak to. It's not necessarily that they're like a huge name or someone, you know, like Brene Brown, where it's just that they're super popular and famous. But we have there's a athlete, an adaptive athlete named Amanda Sullivan, and she is the first female amputee firefighter. Right. And so she's as an amputee, she's double amputee. She's done Spartan races, all of this stuff. And now she's a firefighter. And so, you know, someone like that, we really want to get her voice out there. She works with children that are amputees, and to show them like, hey, just because you have this happen to you, that doesn't mean that, you know, you can't be a firefighter or a world-class athlete or whatever it is. So there's inspiring voices like that we definitely want to have on our show and to share their voices. And I haven't quite got a yes yet.
You have contacted her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send me her email too.
Okay.
Yeah. One email, 3 emails with a brief description about the person or how I can look at just their name, how I can look them up, and I'll send their emails out.
Cool.
I'll email them. What do you do? Say no?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. Basic sales. One of the best pieces of sales advice I got was from a woman who she was running $1 million a year business selling hula hoops and hula hoop training DVDs. This was back in the day. It was called Hoopnotica. And she said it's either a yes or a no for now.
Mhm.
Click. So t-shirts. How's the t-shirt game going? Cody Ringle's winning with 50. He bought 50 t-shirts, 20.
He bought his whole Christmas list of people a shirt with his face on it. So
And I took that picture, and he's the type of guy, I know that guy. Well, he's a friend and a colleague. And when he said, I saw that message come through the comment, he goes, now I know what I'm buying everybody for Christmas. And I knew he was serious because he's not the kind of guy that wants to go out there and take up mental real estate for all these different people. He's like, oh, hell yes, here's my money. Case closed. How many did he buy?
At least 25.
At least 25. That's so cool. So I'm assuming that's your best-selling t-shirt so far?
So far.
What's number 2?
Let's see. Well, it's tied right now. I want to say that the two are the two most recent ones, the Free Megan Smirk and then the Paris Robinson. And I forget the name now. Who's that with her? Sarah
Malone.
Or him?
Was introduced to her through Chase.
Mhm.
Went on her podcast, and yeah, she's a fitness coach. She's got her own podcast as well. Y'all should have her on. She's
Also Paris Robinson. We want him on.
I could okay. Add that to the list. And yeah, so they've got a picture. She came out to Rick's, and when was that? To interview. She came out for a Brandon Powell event. And that was picture of the year, 2021. Paris Robinson, the legend, Paris Robinson, and Sarah Malone with an AK-47. Free Megan Smirk. How many of this picture or t-shirts have you sold?
2.
I bought 1.
Yeah.
2?
2.
Okay.
So that's
okay. So it's Cody Ringle and everybody
2.
else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the Free Megan Smirk about?
I have, you might have noticed, I have begun shit posting on my Instagram account. There was a couple of messages from quote unquote leadership, and I literally Megan Smirk has followed me for, I don't know, for a while, and I tried to tag her in something, and she's blocked and banned and in timeout and grounded. And I made a hashtag Free Megan Smirk, and it got a lot of likes, and she loved it. And I was like, hey, that's going on a t-shirt. So Free Megan Smirk, I bought 1, Chase bought 1. It's just, you gotta have fun with this stuff. Yeah. Gotta have fun with this stuff. And the book, how many copies of the book have you sold?
That's a great question. I sold ones that I signed or mailed out as presents. I had bought 60 copies of those that were sent out, and I believe I have 4, so about 56 that came through me and were sent out. And then through Amazon, I'd have to count because of the way they show me is in a little bar graph. So they do not do the math for me. Between the ebook and then the actual physical copy, there's a decent amount. I did a week before Christmas where it was free. So there were a whole bunch of people that at least downloaded it for free. However, I don't know how many have been opened because they do show me a little bar graph as well of if the ebook's been opened. However, it's out there. So while in the beginning stages, I had one day where 19 physical copies sold. And then there were a few days where there were like 6, but it's been consistently 1 or 2 most days still ever since it came out. So, and that's with minimal pushing for it, because with the holidays, I took a vacation. I needed it. And next week, I'm going to Kansas and reading in 4 schools. So it's starting to be introduced to the kids, who will go home and tell their parents about it. And then I have bookmarks that I can send. So more are coming. It's a marathon.
It absolutely is. Have you reached out to any podcasts for parents to go on and talk about this? It's a very important message.
I have one coming up in February that's specifically for parents. I talked with Matt and Ron on Mind, Heart, Muscle. They had me come back again. We talked specifically about the book for a good chunk of time. And yesterday I just did an interview as well with Allison Pillow, and we talked about the book too. So yeah, I'm looking for the parenting on that Facebook group. There are people that are specifically parenting podcasts. So I've been haven't been looking super hard because Facebook, I avoid it. And yes, I definitely want more of those.
Super cool. Yeah, that's fun. That's how you get really good really fast presenting about something. Doing multiple talks, multiple presentations over a short period of time, ideally 2, 3 a day. What do? You're like 6 in a day, something like that.
What?
Did you sent me your itinerary?
Oh, for the reading?
Yeah, for the reading.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what are we talking about? Yeah, so I'm going first to Grace's school, Rachel's daughter, and then that's one. I'm reading to the whole school, and then the next in the afternoon going to another school, and there are, I want to say 7 or 8 groups coming in. It's 20-minute blocks for the afternoon, and then there's a school where it wasn't decided how many blocks yet for in the morning, but minimum 4. And then there's 4 blocks in the afternoon. So around 16 readings in the 4 schools, 2 days, 16 readings.
Are you going to have anyone there taking pictures?
I'm going to, so Rachel's coming with me. So I'll ask her, and I'll have her check before we even go in because there's kids there, like if we were to get them from the back of their heads, if that would be okay, or if it has to be only me. Yeah, so checking on that type of stuff before we even go in. But yeah.
Good idea. Those a few quality pictures, even just one, one awesome picture. That's at the top of your page for keynoting.
Yeah.
Caron, what's the situation with your gym?
We opted to open this week.
What did that entail? How long has it been closed? What's the backstory?
So we COVID restrictions here in Vancouver, for our whole province, they've shut down all the gyms again.
Liquor stores are open though, right?
Liquor stores are open. You can go to the bar, no problem, but you can't go to the gym and get fit. So previous, like we have a lot of rules in place. You have to be double vaccinated to go to the gym, all of these things. So we followed the rules, and they still closed us. So we met so I'm part of what's called a coaching co-op. Those that haven't listened to our episode with Patty that we did a few episodes ago, it kind of explains how we work. But we're a coaching co-op, so we're entrepreneurs within a business. And one of the things that we are also is a school. So we are a school for coaches. our business license says school. So I would say half of us coaches were pushing to follow school guidelines, which schools opened this week for kids to go back to class, versus gyms, which are still closed. So yeah, it was a greatly debated thing of what we should do. And I've sent Mark a message. There was a post that you did about El Salvador, and they're pushing of like the healthy lifestyle, and for the battle against COVID. And I think that was one of the arguments that I got to put forward to our coaching co-op that really helped to like to make that decision to open, even though against the public orders right now, or won't be right now by the time this comes out. But we're following the school guidelines, because that's what we are. We're a school for coaches. We have coaches all over the world that follow our program and our apprenticeship. So we're doing things following their guidelines, and it has been I'm overwhelmingly busy again, from like no work to all the work, because people just want to come in and for their mental health, for the community connection, and for their overall health and well-being. They want to come in and get fit, and the place is safe, and it's huge and well ventilated, and or you could go to a movie theater and take your mask off and breathe everyone else's recycled air. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why we would be closed. So so far so good. And yeah, I'm excited to get back to work, because it really sucks not working.
How many coaches are in that co-op?
So let's see, 7, 8. Yeah.
Cool. Let me know if they would like gift courses to the Way of the Enlifted Athlete.
I will. Yeah. It's yeah, I will. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting ride through this last couple of years. I mean, we talk a lot about on our show about quitting our jobs to become a coach in the middle of COVID, and things would be going really well if it wasn't for outside influences on the business. So as coaches, we just want to help people get fitter and healthier and be the best versions of themselves, mentally, physically. So anything that blocks that path is really frustrating.
Human interaction and connection and conversation, face-to-face interaction. It's you isolate somebody and the immune system tanks.
Mhm.
We're built to connect.
Absolutely.
We're built to be around people. And I don't know if y'all have listened to it, the Dr. Robert Malone interview on Joe Rogan. In the second half, he talks about, it's towards the end, he talks about, this was really scary. He talks about children, students, they now have the data is coming in that they are dropping. Some kids are dropping 20 IQ points. Okay. And that's very hard to reinstate, because it's their social IQ. It's their ability to make eye contact. You put a mask on someone's face, especially a child. And then, I've been in like supermarkets or somewhere buying something, and someone's talking to me and I go, what? And then say again, I'm sorry. And they have to go like this so I can look at their face to match the noise with the movements, and then I know what to do. And I've been talking, thinking, and speaking, or writing, and I've been using language for a while. You 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old child, those are years you're really not going to get back.
Yeah. I mean, I have a teenage stepdaughter, and when it was supposed to be her first year of high school, and they were doing online the whole time, and just to see the change in her and her like even willingness to engage as like a really great student, down to like someone that doesn't want to get involved or even go into online classes. And so I am grateful that they closed the schools for an extra week here, but that, the kids are at least going back to school, so they go back to band class and all the other things that come and are involved with going to school, the extracurricular activities. Like, sure, you can learn history online, but you can't, like you said, those human connections and friendships and all the other things that come with being a teenager and being with your friends and learning things in a social environment. So having seen the changes, both like the downside when schools were virtual, and the upside, what was the word? The improvement when things went back to being in person and being able to engage in other things was very eye-opening for sure.
When we started wearing masks, I was working in childcare, and they wanted us to separate the kids. So they didn't have to wear masks yet, but we weren't supposed to let them on top of each other. This is infants up through school-age children. And the school-age children aren't going to school. So they're like, hey, we're with our friends all the time. They wanted us to be telling them not to roll around on top of each other. And they're like, you try telling a 10-year-old not to be on top of their friend. Like, you're going to have to get down there in between them, physically separate them. Try telling a toddler not to be climbing on top of their teacher because their teacher is at their level and they're so excited to be talking with them. It's not how the world works. And why would you want to enforce that anyway? So, yeah.
Where does this go?
Where does what go?
What is in your crystal balls? What does the rest of 2022 look like for this conversation, the COVID conversation, the restriction conversation? Do you see it getting better? Do you see it getting worse in your particular areas?
Well, I mean, I never thought we would close again last month. So, I mean, sometimes like it seems unpredictable when you do all the things that were asked of you and they still put in the restrictions. What do I hope happens? I hope that, we can continue on with lives doing what we need to do to protect the people that are vulnerable to the actual virus, right? Like, I have family members that are immunocompromised, and do I want them getting sick and going and suffering? Of course not. Absolutely not. So, it's my priority is to keep them safe and healthy. Do I think that includes restricting things that will make everybody else safer and healthy if they should get COVID? No, absolutely not. Right. But I'm not sure where that goes. And I do believe that in Canada, we have a very different COVID experience than what I'm hearing from the States, right? Very different countries, being a more, I don't want to say we're a socialist country, but more leaning in that direction. I do think we have very different experiences with this whole kit and caboodle. And being from a country that has done what has been asked, I think we're tired now of having even further restrictions when all the other things were supposed to be the things that keep us safe. So I think there is definitely a breaking point. There's a fatigue point. And even the kindly Canadians are getting tired of it.
Well, I'd like to look at it from that perspective, but there's a state and a border between where we are, and that state is talking about detaining people who are unvaccinated. If they show if they come into contact with somebody, or if they show symptoms. So I'd love to be like, this can get better without getting worse. But I feel like we're going to have to hit a breaking point. And,
you mean like Washington State?
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
Oh yes. yes. They're setting up camps to detain people. And
It sounds crazy. It's not.
Not.
I've researched it. I made a post about it. It's legislated.
And if Washington's doing it, Oregon and California are likely close behind. So I'll be moving out of state as soon as that there's even a hint of that. And yeah, I'd love to think that the breaking point isn't something like that, but this is where it's currently looking like it's heading. Like you're going to break people before a change happens. So, and how far do we let them go before enough people rise up and say, no more, we're done.
So what are these camps for? Oh, sorry, I don't understand.
Specifically unvaccinated, right, Mark?
Unvaccinated. Yes, specifically unvaccinated.
So if you're unvaccinated, you go to a camp?
You can be detained.
Mm-hmm.
You can be detained and taken to a camp and kept there for 30 days.
Until what?
Until someone decides that you can go back. This is happening in Australia. I got people that are down there, and I've been posting back and forth, messaging back and forth. They're like, "Oh no, that's real. That's real." They got the Peter Dvorak, the I probably messed his name up, the tennis player. Today, I've been in contact with a couple of people that it looks like Quebec province is getting it the worst. They are now taxing the unvaccinated.
Yeah, I did read that. And
they got curfews. They had curfews on New Year's Eve. Got to be in by 10. Can't go out before 10 to 5 a.m., 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And y'all are right. The word is fatigue. Okay. The word is fatigue. No one knew what this thing was when it first came out, and people listened. And this guy named Gerald Celente, who's the number one trends forecaster in the world for the past 30 years as far as his track record is concerned. And he is predicting that by the spring, this thing is going to dissolve, mainly because of people's fatigue. Mainly because of people's fatigue. They're just not going to play ball anymore. So that's good news, because that guy's right a lot. And I understand the story on both sides of the street. And most people, they want to be safe, they want to be healthy, they want to live their lives, and they're just fucking over it. They're fucking over it. Strange days, ladies. Very strange days. And it's a great time to be a pirate. Let's bring it back to that, and do what we want to do. Kudos for both of y'all for taking that step out of your jobs and doing something that you're passionate about. And my hat's off to you. Congrats on the 50 podcasts. Those are the hardest. Those are the hardest. Ryan Sprague, that's the title of his 100th podcast. The first 100 are the hardest. Any advice that you all would give to people that's thinking about creating a podcast?
I'd say do it. Like, go ahead, start it. Like, same with writing a book too. Do it. It's a lot easier than it seems. You can, and you don't have to have somebody else behind you saying, go ahead and do it. You can. Yeah.
And I'll follow that up with just what Chris and I did, ask for help. We didn't know how to edit and do all the technical stuff. We asked for help from people that were doing it, and they were gracious enough to take some time to sit and chat with us and show us programs. And you don't have to figure it out on your own. You get to ask for help. Was there initial cost investment?
No.
We bought a mic.
We bought mics.
Yeah.
And then I already had Zoom, so we went with the free version of Anchor. Mics were the biggest expense.
And we could have done it without it. So
yeah,
don't let that hold you back.
When's the virtual pirate retreat happening again? I'd like to speak. If you need a language geek, I'd be happy to fill that role and I can think of a number of people that would be interesting, valuable guests outside of the Enlifted community that I'm happy to contact,
Mm-hmm.
and likely get them to participate and talk.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see it happening in the spring. And yeah.
Make it happen for sure by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
2 days, 3 days. What's the?
We had initially been looking at 2, I believe, doing about 5. The other part seeing is that there's a lot of time zones between us and Alex also knew some people in Australia. We were trying to figure out how to navigate so many time zones. However, yeah, so I think we're considering around 5 a day, and those they'd all be recorded because somewhere someone's going to be asleep during them.
Yeah.
Both of y'all are gonna attend. So we've had a lot of requests over a period of time about inherited story work. So we're running our first specialty course for the Enlifted community called Enlifted Ancestors. And I think it was 2-3 days ago. I'm scrolling and I likely sent both of y'all the link. It was a summit on processing inherited trauma. And I've never heard of any of these people. Okay. I got the immediate pull, the yes, signed up. I bought the recordings for $97 in advance. That's something y'all can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I will participate, and I will also buy the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
So sign me up for your first paying $97. That's an easy yes. There's a magical number. Adam talks about numbers a lot when it comes to price points. $97, $297, something like that. I mean, Kayla bought the recordings. Like it was an easy thing to say yes to. So that's consider that when you're formatting this thing, because I'd like to see y'all get paid.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
Yeah. That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Ladies, anything else we want to talk about on the celebratory 50th show? Anything you want to ask me? I mean, I got plenty of time. This is my last. Well, I'm doing the Grimerica podcast at 9:30 p.m. tonight, and I've got a nice little break between now and then, so I've got plenty of time. We can keep rapping, chatting, like anything y'all want to pick my brain about.
I mean, my one thing I want to say, and this is more directed towards Kristin, for anyone that looks at our Instagram or is even listening to this podcast, like the magic happens because of Kristin, like literally. She's the one sending the voice notes. She's the one making the awesome posts on Instagram and keeping people engaged. And when I say this couldn't happen without Kristin, like literally actually couldn't happen without Kristin, right? So, this is my opportunity to publicly thank my partner in this, because she has been everything and anything I could have asked for in a partner in this endeavor. Because if it was me, I suspect it would have gotten 3 in and quit like your friend. This is why I wanted to do it with someone. And I picked the best one.
Thank you. And
Very cool.
I wouldn't have done a podcast without you. So thanks for asking.
And now we're all emotional.
Find people that you can work with, folks. That's a big deal. I say the same thing about Enlifted. If Adam and I hadn't paired up, I would still very likely be on the hippie festival scene, traveling around, living out of my suitcase, just traveling and talking and making the ends meet. But it wouldn't be the structured professional training company and community that it is. It would not be branded like this, because that's just I said that 2 nights ago when and I love doing this, by the way. Fuck him. I love fucking Adam Chin up. I got the level 2s because I get too much credit for this and he doesn't get enough. And so the first thing we did was everybody emailed him. Y'all did this on your level 2. Emailed him, and it just he prints them out. He keeps them. So get yourself somebody who compliments you. Find someone, and it's not rocket science. Do you enjoy being around the person? They will have a set of skills, and likely either they'll be good at the thing or you'll be good at the thing, or you can figure it out as you go. Stuff's not rocket science, folks. The voice in the head, the part of our identity that wants to talk us out of stuff, that's the real thing to check. Okay. That's the real thing to turn the volume down on and make a couple of small steps. That's really how it's done. Get out of the big picture and buy some mics and get 3 guests.
Then 3 more.
Yeah. And then 3 more. Exactly. How am I going to, I want to be like Joe Rogan. I've heard a couple of people say that. You realize that guy's on like 1900, something like that
so
podcast. Don't
So
worry
many.
about that. Do 20.
Yeah.
You're not going from 0 to Joe Rogan.
And he really a chunk of those in there are him getting high with his best friend. Like
That's how it
they're not
started. That
even
was the first
interviews.
fucking 200 of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
They were done in his house on the couch. They're fucking smoking weed and talking trash. And the thing evolved. We started group 21 and 22 last night, level 1 certifications. We got a manual out. Shout out to Kayla Becker. It will get better as you go. Okay. I promise you that. There are things that you will only know that you need to figure out by getting on the path and staying on the path. So keep it small and make moves. It's fun.
And we also get to thank you for helping us with the name.
Yes.
So we're called Pirate Living Podcast because of you. We had a couple of names, and we got to the point where we were tied. We had 2 names that were at the top of our list. We had Pirate Living Podcast. We wanted to do the Pirate Life Podcast, but that was already taken. So we came up with Pirate Living, and the other name was Running with the Wolves. We were like, we had a discussion about how, Mark's really good at naming things. So it was a quick text, and it was an immediate. Pirate Living is the podcast name. We're like, cool, settled. It's almost like a flip of the coin, except it's a let's ask Mark.
It's stuck, and it's a great name. It's very fitting, and it frames the conversation very, very well. I got the magic feels because we that happened on first level 3 y'all were on, or was it shortly thereafter?
Shortly after.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter. Yeah. Yeah. Super. It's great work, ladies.
Thank you.
Great work. Anything else, or are we good? I know we're good, Ann.
We're good.
We're good. Thank you all for allowing me to interview you. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoy asking the questions and getting your feedback and helping your audience get a different look at you all and some of the important information of the backstory of things. The backstory always fascinates me. Tell me about the big wins. Tell me about the big mistakes. Tell me about where you're going, how it started, who said what. Tell me about the first few reps. You can learn so much from listening to people that are engaged in something with those questions and their answers. Everybody, thanks for listening. Keep listening and share these links with your friends because they're valuable.